The pre-trip inspection for 2023. So you check the truck and you tell the examiner, I'm checking the truck. I make sure the truck is off and the parking brakes are engaged. I check around the truck to see if it causes any threat to any object or to human being. Also, I check that the truck is not leaning to one side more than the other side. It should be leveled, side to side, front to back. Also, I check under the vehicle for any fluid leaking or dripping, such as oil, transmission, coolant, okay, or any foreign object hanging out of the truck. With that being said, I check the top marker lights, 5 of them in the top. I say that all the marker lights are securely mounted. They are properly colored amber in color, because in the front lenses is not broken or damaged, should be clean. The middle one, they are the ID for this vehicle. Then I go down and I talk about the front lights, the headlights. The headlight securely mounted, lenses not broken or damaged or cracked, it's clean. Here I have several lights, low beam, high beam, they are clear in color. And on the side I have 4-way emergency parking and signal, also properly colored, amber in color. Now I'm going to open the hood and start talking about my critical fluid level. I check that level. Here I have my coolant reservoir, securely mounted, not broken or damaged. I check the fluid level. It should be on normal operating range. It has a cap. The cap tight secured. Under the cap there is no leak. I check the hoses connected to the container, tight secured from both ends with the clamps, with no sign of leak. The condition of the hose, securely mounted, no crack, no fray, no damage, no bubbles, no bulges. Windshield fluid reservoir, you don't have to talk about it. Now I'm talking about checking the engine, and I check if the engine leak or the transmission fluid leak. Where is the engine connected to the transmission? In that area it might leak. So I said I check the back of the engine to see if it's leaking. I check on the ground to see if there is any dripping of oil in the back. I check the power steering reservoir, securely mounted, all the bolts are present, the body is not broken or damaged, no leak. It has a cap. Under the cap there is no leak, the cap tight and secured. It has also a dipstick to measure the fluid. The way I will measure it, I will remove the dipstick, wipe it clean, reinsert it, take it back, take the reading. It should be on a normal level. Then I check the hoses connected to the container. Here one, here another one. Both hoses are tight secured with the clamps and with no sign of leak. The condition of the hose, securely mounted, no bubbles, no bulges, no crack, no leak. Then I talk about the engine oil dipstick. The way I will measure it, engine has to be off. I would remove the dipstick, wipe it clean, reinsert it, take it back, take the reading. It should be on a normal level. Then I check for any audible air leak coming from any part, especially from the engine compressor. Okay, in that area, engine compressor, sometimes it leak air, so we listen for any audible air leak coming from that area. Now I'm going to talk about the steering system. This is steering shaft or column. This is the power steering gearbox, securely mounted with the bolts to the chassis. It contains oil, so there is no sign of oil leak. It has hoses, 2 of them. 1 and 2. The hose is tight secured from both ends with the bolts with no sign of leak. The condition of the hose: no crack, no fray, no damage, and no holes, no bubbles, no leak. These are Pitman arm, drag link, upper control arm, and we have one, we call it lower control arm, and then we have the tie rod. This is tie rod. These, they call them the steering linkage. All the steering linkage parts securely mounted, no missing bolts, none of them is broken or damaged, no one has illegal welds. Here we have a socket, should be well greased, and the socket is not crack, fray, or damaged, and no sign of leak, and it has a castle nut. The castle nut tight secured, not loose, and has a cutter pin. On the other side also we have another socket, securely mounted, not crack, fray, or damaged, and has grease, and also it has a castle nut with the cutter pin. Now I'm going to talk about the suspension system. This is the shock absorber, well mounted or secured from both ends with the bolts. The shock absorber should be straight, not bent or bent. It contains oil, so there is no oil leak. Spring leads or leaf springs should be aligned, no shift between them, no crack, no fray, no damage, no illegal welds. Any cut more than 1/4 inch will put the vehicle out of the service. Here we have the axle. The axle is not broken or damaged, not bent or dent, no holes on it. Then we talk about the spring mount. The spring mount securely mounted with the bolts to the chassis, not broken or damaged, no illegal welds. Then we're going to talk about the airbag, which you can see it on the driver axle. This is the airbag. So we say the airbag securely mounted to the chassis. All bolts are present. The rubber of the airbag, this is the rubber of the airbag. No crack, no fray, no damage, no air leak. That's all what you say. Then you go back again to the front. And now we're going to talk about the brake system. So here I have the ABS cable, securely mounted, not broken or damaged, no crack or frayed. Next, I have the air hose, securely mounted from both ends with the bolts, with no sign of leak. And the condition of the hose: no crack, no fray, no damage, no bubbles, no bulges, no air leak. This is the chamber, brake chamber, push rod, slack adjuster, S camshaft. You do not talk about them. Okay, you do not talk about them. We go down to the brake shoes and brake lining, brake shoes and brake lining, and then the drum. So brake shoes and brake lining securely mounted, not broken or damaged, should be clean, no grease, no oil, no debris, no contamination on them. Should not be dangerously thin. 1/4 inch is the minimum requirement. After that, you need a brake job. Then we talk about the drum, brake drum. We repeat the same thing. The brake drum securely mounted, not broken or damaged, no illegal welds, should be clean, no grease, no oil, no debris. Bottom line, no contamination on it, and also should not be dangerously thin. Now we're going to talk about the tire. This is steering tire. This tire, the tread depth of the tire should be in the front 4/32, and I should measure it with my gauge. Everywhere else should be 2/32, the minimum. So 4/32, the tread depth, I should measure it with my gauge, the minimum. The inflation of the tire should be according to manufacturer specification, and I should measure it with my air gauge also. The condition, the tires on the same axle should be matching according to the size and the type. should be both bias ply or radial ply. It cannot be one large and one small. The condition of the tire should be evenly worn, not one side more than the other side. No nails, no cuts, no abrasions, no bulges, no bubbles. The side of the tire, the same thing. No bubble, no cuts, abrasions, or bubbles or bulges. The tire should sit on the bead of the rim. That's the bead of the rim with no gap, with no air leak. After that, we're gonna talk about the rim. The rim securely mounted, not broken or damaged, no bent, no dent, no illegal welds on it. Then we talk about the lug nuts. The lug nut here, all the lug nuts are present. None of them is loose or broken or damaged. The stud of the lug nuts also is not broken or damaged. You check the round again around the lug nuts not to be deframed or elongated. Here I have stem valve. The stem valve securely mounted with no audible air leaks coming from it. It should have a cap, the cap tight secured to prevent dirt from going inside the valve, the stem valve, and cause air leak. The tire should have enough clearance with the fender. The tire should not touch the fender so they don't friction together, and also from the side the tire should not touch the mud flap, and the mud flap presents, not missing, and does not drag against the ground. Now we're going to talk about the side of the truck. Here we have a marker light, securely mounted, no exposed wire. The lens is not broken or damaged, properly colored amber because on the front, and should be clean. Fuel tank, securely mounted with the straps. These are straps. So fuel tank securely mounted with the straps, not broken or damaged, no holes, no fuel leak. The tank has cap, the cap tight and secured. Under the cap there is no leak. Then we talk about lines and air hoses connected to the fuel tank. Here we have a few air lines and hoses. It's hard to see, it's dark, so I'm gonna go to the other to different trucks so we can see it better. Here the fuel tank, okay, from different truck, and here we can see the air hoses and air line connected to them, 1, 2, and over there 3. So we said the lines and the hoses securely mounted, not broken or damaged, no sign of leak. Some trucks, the new trucks, has what they call it another tank. They call it DEF tank. This is what you see is DEF tank. DEF tank. So securely mounted, the tank securely mounted with the bolts, not broken or damaged, no holes, no leak, fluid leak. Also it has a cap, the cap tight secured. Under the cap there is no leak. Also it has lines connected to it. We say all the lines securely mounted, none of them is broken or damaged, there is no sign of leak. We're talking about the battery box, securely mounted from both ends with the straps. This one, this is another one, and the box is not broken or damaged, should be clean. Inside the box we have batteries. I'm gonna remove the cover, the box, so we can see the batteries. Here are the batteries, 3 of them, sometimes 4, doesn't matter the number. So all the batteries securely mounted with the bolts. There is on the connection between the batteries, the cable is free of any rust or corrosion. Inside each battery there is acid, so there is no sign of acid leak. Then we talk about the frame or the chassis of the truck. We say the frame or the chassis securely mounted, no bent, no dent, no holes, no illegal welds. Between the end of the truck and the trailer, we should have enough space, enough clearance, so when we steer or we turn, they don't strike against each other. Now I'm going to talk about coupling. I'm going to use another truck to talk about the coupling, because truck and trailer, they are connected. Okay, here I have a power line. The power line provides power from truck to the trailer, and the power line is plugged into the socket, and on the trailer also there is another socket. The socket, well mounted, was secured, not broken or damaged, all bolts are present, and the cable is plugged properly. Inside each socket there is electrical pins. I'm gonna disconnect the cable to show you the electrical pins. Here you can see the electrical pins, all of them present, none of them is broken or damaged or missing, and the cable should be plugged properly into the socket. I checked the cable, the power line, for any damages, any crack. Everything's in order. Now I have two air lines. One red, they call it emergency or a trailer, and the other one is blue. The air line is not crack free or damaged, no air leak on them. Each airline is end with the gland hands, tractor gland hands and trailer gland hand. Both gland hands not broken or damaged, no illegal welds, they are connected properly. Between them there is a rubber seal, and that rubber seal should be clean, no crack, no fray, no damage, and mainly no air leak on both lines. Here I disconnect the air line so you can see the rubber seal on each gland hand. As you see here, the rubber seal, no crack, no fray, no damage, and should be clean. And here I have the power line, also should be clean. The lines should not be twisted or tangled, should not touch any part of the truck, and should have enough clearance with the exhaust system, because the exhaust system get hot and they might get burned. Between the end of the truck and the trailer, we should have enough clearance so when we steer they don't collide. Now we're going to talk about the fifth wheel. This fifth wheel is a sliding fifth wheel. I can slide it forward and backward. The fifth wheel is well mounted, was secured, all bolts are present, well mounted, was secured to the chassis. To move it, I need the air line. This is the air line, well mounted, was secured, no crack, no fray, no damage, and no air leak on it. These are the locking pins, the one they lock the fifth wheel on the chassis. The bottom part of the fifth wheel, they call it platform. And the platform is not broken or damaged, no illegal welds. All bolts are present. The top part, they call it skid plate. The skid plate also, well mounted, was secured, not broken or damaged, no illegal welds. The skid plate and platform connected together through the pivot pin. That's the pivot pin, and it has cutter pin. The pivot pin is not broken or damaged. The surface of the skid plate should be well lubricated. This is the release lever. The release lever right now is in unlocked position, not broken or damaged, no illegal welds. All mechanical parts are present and they're working properly. If I go in the back of the fifth wheel, I will see space. That space, they call it the jaw. Here we're gonna find in a minute the locking jaw and the kingpin sitting there. When the truck and the trailer, they are connected, the trailer will sit on the skid plate. So now they are connected, so let's look at it. Here from the side I'm looking at it. The bottom part of the trailer, they call it apron. Should be well mounted or secured, not broken or damaged, no illegal welds, and should sit on the skid plate with no gap between them. I should not see any daylight between the trailer and the skid plate. If I see daylight, it means they are not connected properly. And now as you see here, I have the release lever. The release lever right now is in locking position and is not broken or damaged. That's the release lever. This fifth wheel, by the way, is non-sliding fifth wheel. I cannot slide this fifth wheel. The first one I can slide it, but this one I cannot slide it. You see, it's well mounted secured to the chassis with the bolts, and you cannot slide it. There is no space to slide that fifth wheel. If I go in the back of the fifth wheel and looking at that space, I will see the locking jaw and the kingpin. The kingpin is part of the trailer going from the top to the bottom. Not broken or damaged, no illegal welds. And around that kingpin, horizontally, you can see the locking jaw, also well mounted was secured, not broken or damaged, and no illegal welds on it. Now I'm going to talk about the trailer. I look in the top of the trailer and I see marker light. The marker light, securely mounted, lens is not broken or damaged, properly colored, amber in colored, goes in the front. This, the header board, they call it header board, securely mounted, not broken or damaged, no holes on it, all rivets are present. These small bolts, they call them rivets. Okay, all the rivets are present. The header board should be strong enough to support the load or the cargo. Then we talk about the side of the trailer and we repeat the same thing. Side of the trailer, not broken or damaged, no holes, no crack on it. All bolts and rivets are present. Should be strong enough to support the load or the cargo. Then we talk about the frame of the trailer. The frame of the trailer, not bent or dent, no illegal welds, no holes. All bolts are present. You see DOT stickers, we're gonna talk about them. DOT sticker, all of them are present, none of them is missing. Every trailer, it should have DOT stickers, not the truck, only the trailer. Then we talk about the landing gear. The landing gear support beams. These are the support beams, securely mounted, all bolts are present, no illegal welds on any of them. The landing gear itself should be straight, not bent or dent, no illegal welds, should be strong enough to support the trailer weight, and should be well lubricated, and when we drive, should be fully risen. Fully risen. The crank or the release handle, securely mounted, not broken or damaged, has 2-speed, low and high. This is the crank. Shoe, landing shoe, securely mounted, not broken or damaged. Now I'm going to talk about the trailer floor. This is the trailer floor, and these are the cross members, the one they support the floor. All the cross members are present, none of them is missing, none of them has illegal welds. They're supporting the floor, and the trailer floor strong enough to support the load or the cargo, should have no holes on it. So trailer floor has no holes on it, should be strong enough to support the load. Then we go to the back of the trailer and we have 2 marker lights. One of them is ABS light, securely mounted, properly colored, amber, no exposed wire, the lens is not broken or damaged. And the other marker light, red in color, properly colored, lens is not broken or damaged, should be clean, and no exposed wire. Then we go to the back of the trailer. Here I can see the trailer tail lights, securely mounted, lenses not broken or damaged, should be clean, no exposed wire, properly colored, red because they are in the back. One of them serve as parking, four-way emergency, and signaling, and the other one serve as brake. The other side, also you can see them. DOT bumper, well mounted, was secured, no bend, no dent, no illegal welds, has DOT stickers on it. Some trailer they have pintle hook. This they call it pintle hook. Pintle hook. Securely mounted, all bolts are present to the frame, not broken or damaged, no illegal welds. The top of the trailer, we have also marker light. They are a small one here, you can see them. Securely mounted, not broken or damaged. They should be clean. No exposed wire, should be red in color because they are in the back. Here we're looking at the different trailer, the tail light of different trailer. Properly colored, red, lenses is not broken or damaged, no exposed wire, should be clean. One of them brake, the other one four-way emergency signal and parking. Mud flap. We talk about the mud flap. We say the mud flap securely mounted, not missing, all bolts present, should not touch the tire or the ground. So should have enough clearance between the tire and mud flap. Another trailer, the same thing, the mud flap present, not missing, all bolts present. The mud flap should not touch the tire or drag against the ground. Finally, the trailer frame in the back, securely mounted, not broken or damaged, no illegal welds.